concepts for the car was actually inspired by a fighter jet canopy.
Everything is kind of unexpected, right?
We always think about young generations.
It allows us to create something out of this world.
Emphasize the beauty of the shape and the structure.
It gave us a new sense of hospitality,
which creates more emotional impact.
Hello and welcome to the Nissan Headquarters Gallery here in Yokohama, Japan. I'm Ken Lee, Senior Design Director at Nissan Global Design. Today, we want to give you a glimpse behind the scenes. Specifically, we're going to talk to the designers behind the Nissan Hyper concepts. We're going to chat with them, hear their stories, and how they get behind the minds of the people we create for. We're also going to take you around the world virtually and chat with some of our overseas designers to see how we collaborate. But first, we're going to talk to our designers here in Japan.
My name is Marcus Quach, Design Manager. What I love about designing for Nissan is our wide variety of products. It keeps us on our toes in design, and it makes the work exciting and engaging.
My name is Han Gyu, and I'm a lead exterior designer. What motivates me is the chance to bring something into the world that inspires others for generations.
My name is Daisato, Program Design Director. I've always been artistic from a young age. When I met my high school teacher, who was previously a car designer, his stories motivated me to become a designer myself, putting me on this amazing journey.
Hey guys.
Hi, Ken.
Hello. So it's pretty cool to see our concepts on the stage here in the gallery, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, one of the beauty of being a Nissan designer is we have such a diverse lineup of vehicles, and we have so many different types of people we design for. What do you do to get inside the minds of the people you design for?
Yeah, for me, I like the test driving. I try to test drive as much as possible.
Speaking of driving, you know, Marcus, I know you've always been a car enthusiast. So what are some of the things you do to get inspired?
I like to visit the places where the cars are kind of in their own environment, in the context that they're used. So for this project in particular, we went to a lot of motorsports activities, the Nismo Festival, and that stuff really just inspired me to get in the mindset of the people.
Oh, very cool. And Han, I know you love Tokyo.
Whenever I go to Tokyo, I get very inspired by just looking at people. It's very interesting how they dress differently and then they have different vibes. People in Shibuya, they are very expressive. They have strong characters and you can feel full of excitement.
So should we take a look at your latest work?
Yeah, let's have a look.
So the Hyperpunk is such a high character design. It looks so unusual, right?
It has a very strong character, funky and one of a kind.
For such an unusual design, do you have a specific person in mind who you designed this for?
Yes, Yuki, who is our target user for Hyperpunk. And I can definitely imagine that she go to Shibuya. Then I was thinking, what kind of music does she listen to? And what kind of clothes does she wear? And I started to try some music and bought things that I would never buy.
Well, speaking of which, you know, we're all very curious about those shoes that you're wearing. They look like polygons.
Yes.
You know, can you tell us a little bit more about them?
So yeah, this polygon shoes is one of them. After I bought this, then I started to understand Yuki better. It really helped me for the design process.
Yeah, you can definitely see the connection. We see the polygon inspiration everywhere on this concept.
Yeah, I love the execution of the polygon theme on the lighting on the front here. Really nice.
Yeah, everything is kind of unexpected, right? You have lamps where you don't expect them to be. And it's not only on the exterior, you know, this inspiration goes throughout the vehicle, including the interior. Wow, we always love to see the doors open.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, what an interesting cockpit, isn't it?
Your shoes match perfectly.
Yes. Interior design, we're thinking about the origami and polygonal shapes. It's interesting how this origami is the single piece of two-dimensional paper. Once you start to folding it, it becomes three-dimensional. And it's very expressive.
Yeah, so this is something you never imagined somebody would do, right? To put origami in interior.
Yeah, buttons are also hidden in the origami shapes. We also have some organic shapes to have more contrast, which creates more emotional impact.
Yeah, I remember the sketch from the original. It has a super nice contrast, red and white. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it creates a really nice cockpit environment. And, you know, speaking of the cockpit environment, you know, the Hyperforce is also quite an interesting concept. Marcus, would you like to talk us through?
Sure. It's funny you mentioned cockpit because one of the original concepts for the car was actually inspired by a fighter jet canopy. This idea of the cabin and the body kind of uniform in one shape, the way the cabin has a seamless transition into the body. And the idea behind it was really, how do we kind of change the experience of an electric sports car and create a unique experience for the user?
So Marcus, I've known you for a while, and I know as far back as I can remember, you have always been putting this kind of large letters on your sketches of the cars, and we know there's a specific inspiration, and finally you've been able to realize it. So,
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
In addition to looking towards the future with this concept and being, very forward-thinking, we also wanted to drop in some homages to Nissan sports and racing heritage. So some of the keen-eyed Nissan enthusiasts will notice where this sticker actually came from, which is from the R30 Skyline RS Turbo sticker on the side. And the idea behind it was, at that time in the 80s, that sticker was kind of highlighting the latest in technology. And in this case, it's the representation of a future of electrified sports technology.
Oh, it's really cool that you could put your personal touches on this concept car. Should we take a look at some other parts?
Yeah, sure. So go to the front.
Yep.
So one of the inspirational cars for the Hyperforce was the Nissan R30 Super Silhouette car from the early 80s. That car is full of really interesting aerodynamic features, but of course we wanted to interpret it in a more modern kind of EV era aerodynamics.
I really like how it looks very aggressive. I also really like how this headlight is.
So part of the aerodynamic story was this collaboration with Nismo. And Nismo actually helped us sculpt out all the air tunnels that are running through the car. So actually the headlight is not just a design shape. It was actually inspired by some of the ideas from Nismo, using the air splitter to create this triangular shape. And the air splits its way through from one side to the other. Because of their input, they actually helped make the car more interesting and more aggressive.
Yeah, I heard the engineers were really excited. So this is not just a pretty show car, but it's a true technical collaboration. Now, I also understand that this is a really driver-centric car.
Ken, you want to get in the driver's seat?
Yeah, let's get inside and check it out. Wow, this is so crazy. I feel like I'm in a video game.
So all the UI is displayed on these screens here, and it was done in collaboration with Polyphony Digital, and they're great at it because of Gran Turismo.
Yeah, that's another great collaboration.
Yeah, the car's got two modes: GT mode when you're just cruising along, and then R mode when you're more engaged in the driving experience.
Yeah, this is such a cool way to make the drive more engaging, whether track or street.
I personally felt so many parallels with the driver. I knew if I was excited, then we were probably on the right track.
Wow, such a wild experience for both the driver and the passenger. Now, Dai, the Hyper Tourer provides a completely different experience. Can you show us?
Yeah, sure. Let's take a look. So, for the Hyper Tourer, we designed for the people who likes luxurious experience. Hyper Tourer can support their lifestyle and professional needs with the cutting-edge features. So as you see exterior, the contrast between such a smooth yet sharp appearance and this kind of precise detail. And the interior is space to make the journey a moment to share with others on a deeper level.
Yeah, so in Japan, we love riding on the bullet train. So would you say this is kind of like a private bullet train?
Yeah, specifically Maglev, which is an elevated high-tech train.
I could see that with how low it is and how it looks like it's floating.
Yeah, in researching this project, we went to a Maglev facility in Yamanashi, Japan, and had a great experience riding Maglev in China as well. And it gave us a new sense of hospitality, what we call omotenashi. So resulted in some impactful, cool feature inside. Let me show you.
Wow, there's a lot to take in here.
Yeah, the whole team really wanted to express the immersive experience. Actually, when I was a student, I tried to design something with impact rather than just styling alone. I was drawn to architecture and Japanese artistry. You can see that in the detail inside and out.
Yeah, I can see the influence of architecture in this here.
Yeah, we love the attention to detail. There's even a Japanese teapot here.
Yeah, I can pour these. Yeah.
Thank you. And of course, we've got to talk about this floor.
Yeah, it's something wanted to explore as a part of immersive experience to adjust depending the people's mood and help them relax for the long drive and create a unique opportunity to deeply connect each other face to face.
This would be a great space to do some brainstorming.
Yeah, actually 4 seats are completely hanging, supported by this center console to emphasize this interior open space feeling.
Yeah, this definitely feels more like a room than a typical automotive interior. I could spend all day in here.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys so much for sharing about all the concepts. They're so unique, and I could really feel your passion. Now, let's head over to our studio where we'll take a look at our digital concepts, the hyper-urban and hyper-adventure.
My name is Sebastián Jesus. I'm a project lead designer.
There's something incredibly rewarding on seeing a design that you've made. That's sort of is my fuel, the impact that you can have in people's life. By making something that works well, that's making something that looks good, that's super rewarding.
I'm Jaehyun An, color material designer. For me, design starts with a genuine interest to the world with affection. Affection to the human being, technology, and aesthetics that surround you in your daily life.
My name is Zoe Chen, Associate Design Director. My approach to design involves a constant pursuit of perfection. While the journey may pose challenges and time-consuming, discovering that perfection makes it all worthwhile.
So, hello guys, welcome and thanks for joining us here. You know, we have 2 very exciting virtual concept cars, the Hyper-Urban and the Hyper-Adventure. All of you have worked in Japan and you have worked in your respective studios, whether it's London or Shanghai. So tell us a little bit about your experiences of how being where you are, shapes how you design, and maybe it helps you to even think about the people you're designing for.
When we design this concept car, we always think about young generations. It's SUV, but we want to make it more beauty than SUV and match to the requirement and can support them to explore all the places.
And I heard, a lot of the designers on your team would be the target user for this vehicle. They like going biking, they like going camping.
In our team, many people love the skating and the camping. And this car, when we designed, we want to have a nice relationship with the interior and the exterior, especially when you open the rear door, the second row seat can rotate and you can sit it. So when we make design, we always thinking the function.
Sounds like you have quite a passionate studio. Sebastian, why don't you tell us a little bit, about the location you're in and how it influences you?
One of the coolest things about work at Nissan is that I started in Japan and now I moved to London. So in a way, you just harness all these experiences. At some point, all that influences what you do in design, the way you behave as well, because you get just absorbing all these lifestyle experiences. You were mentioning that in Tokyo. I mean, there's a lot of inspiration while you were living there.
Yeah, probably it might have been affected to that. You always can feel that excitement when you go out, the night out in Tokyo. You can feel the sci-fi kabuki.
It's the sci-fi factor, and that's something you can experience in a city like Tokyo. I remember the first time I went to Shanghai in Tokyo, I thought you actually are there. There's a lot of stuff that you absorb, and at some point of the projects, you just let it out in some idea, in some nice emotion. And you see the result on Hyper-Urban. It's kind of this combination of experiments, of ideas. I mean, the fact that it was virtual, it allows us to, basically create something out of this world. Specifically, the colors and materials on Hyper-Urban, because it was virtual. I mean, you took some advantage of that, right?
I wanted to take an advantage from the digital. In the past, it was just a pigment, but the technology science made this enable to express the wide range of the color, even iridescent color. We're using 2 complementary hue colors on the body shade, which is really hard to embody in the rear paint. As a major, I studied automotive design at the school, so I always think that color material should highlight and emphasize the beauty of the shape and the structure.
So Kie, you mentioned about design school. What would be interesting is to find out what's some things that when you went to design school, you never expected that you would be doing today as a professional designer.
For me, like entering the professional world is more like learning why and how, more than just aesthetically pleasing. Why this design is required, or why this certain needs arise, or like how should we find a solution, or how to make it into real life is something that I'm learning.
How about you, Zoe? Because now you're in a leadership role in your team. So what are some things you're doing that you never expected when you were a student?
Actually, I never thought I will be a car designer when I was a student. Yeah, and when I was in the high school, I'd like to be an architecture designer. I was in a design school in the university, and I become thinking about for other people and designed not only the styling but also the things need to be useful.
How do you balance between your own dreams and motivation versus how you design for the target user?
In my case, just to put myself in situation, it's just waking up in the morning and basically thinking about all the actions that you do before you go to the office. Somehow we never think about it because these are things that you do every time, every day. You never sort of rationalize it. But in our job, we have to step away from the routine and basically just describing what am I doing. You have to expand that thought and put yourself into the shoes of other people and think maybe I can improve things and try to at least feel what they can live everyday basis.
So, Sebastian and Kie, when you design hyper-urban, of course, you consider sustainability. That's a very important attribute in today's design. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you approached it in hyper-urban?
The approach on hyper-urban, even though it looks fascinating in terms of shapes, it doesn't have too many parts. And that's kind of key. The fact that we have embedded technology in it, you need less buttons, less switches, less everything. I think that technology will allow us to go into a more seamless world in which we will reduce the number of parts.
For me, sustainability aligns with the concept of timeless. It's because it's such an easy word to replace your possessions with the new and the latest. I believe that extending the lifespan of the car is the most sustainable approach.
So you guys worked so hard on these concepts, and of course, you were waiting for it to be unveiled. So, maybe tell us a little bit about how you felt when the vehicles were unveiled to the public.
My first contact, it was in Tokyo. We had like a billboard, a 3D billboard. And we could see all of them popping out of the screen like in 3D. And honestly, when I saw that, it was the first time that I really saw the magnitude of what the impact of technology can have in the way we show things and the way we tell the stories.
Our designers, they went to Japan and they saw the big screen and the 3D movies. And they told us they're quite proud when they stand there to bring some dream to the customer, to imagination, make it come true, but by digital.
There's so much people involved. We're just like one little part of it. For sure, we imprint all of our ideas, and the designers have a huge influence on what the final products will be, but there's so much people involved.
That's, I think, what makes our design organization interesting, because it's filled with passionate, spirited, unique individuals. And that's why we have such unique creations. Like all the Hyper series of concept cars really reflect, the designers that created them. Thank you guys for such a fascinating chat. It's been very insightful. And as you can see at Nissan Design, we're passionate about the vehicles we design, and we're passionate about the people we create for.